Welcome back to our channel, your premier destination for the most captivating updates from the glamorous and tumultuous world of Los Angeles fashion. Today is a spectacular day to dive deep into the emotional labyrinth of our favorite characters. Let's unravel the intricate web of ambition, betrayal, and romance that awaits us in the latest dramatic developments on the canvas. The glittering facade of Forrester Creations has always masked a ruthless corporate battlefield, but the latest maneuvers within its executive offices have pushed one of its most dedicated visionaries to the absolute brink of despair. Hope Logan Spencer finds herself standing at a devastating professional crossroads, emotionally shattered and profoundly disillusioned by the authoritarian management style of Steffi Forrester Finnegan. For years, Hope has poured her heart, soul, and unwavering moral compass into building the Hope for the Future brand, transforming it from a mere fashion line into a global movement of positivity and progressive values. Yet, with a single cold directive, Steffi has once again halted the line, citing the absolute priority of Eric Forster's high fashion couture. The sheer indignity of this decision is magnified by the way Steffi orchestrated the fallout. While Zen Forster Dominguez, though initially disappointed, was swiftly thrown a lifeline and reassigned to a lucrative new design position within the company, Hope was left entirely adrift. She is expected to simply sit in the shadows, quietly waiting for the day the Forrester executives might graciously decide her life's work is worthy of their attention once more. This blatant marginalization has ignited a profound internal conflict within Hope, forcing her to question her loyalty, her legacy, and her very future within the walls of the company her family helped build. The suffocating atmosphere at Forrester Creations has not gone unnoticed by those who love Hope the most. Enter Liam Spencer, who has watched his wife endure cycle after cycle of professional humiliation at the hands of her longtime rival. Liam, serving as a fiercely protective and empathetic anchor, recognizes that Hope's immense talent is slowly being suffocated by the toxic, legacy-driven politics of the Forrester family. In a moment of striking clarity, Liam delivers a powerful and potentially life-altering pitch to his wife. He urges Hope to stop waiting for validation from a family that constantly undermines her and to boldly seize control of her own destiny by leaving Forrester Creations entirely. Liam's proposition is not just about escaping Steffi's tyrannical grip. It is about embracing a wildly seductive alternative that has just burst onto the global stage. He suggests that Hope take her visionary talents to the newly ascendant Logan brand, spearheaded by Katie Logan Spencer and his own father, Bill Spencer. The Logan brand is currently riding the massive wave of a globally broadcasted debut collection, and Liam argues that Hope's progressive design philosophy could be the exact catalyst Katie needs to solidify her empire. Liam's brilliant proposition introduces a fascinating dynamic into the ongoing fashion war. Katie Logan Spencer is currently reveling in the monumental triumph of her launch, but beneath the champagne toasts and flashing cameras lies a terrifying vulnerability. The breathtaking success of the Logan brand was built on the unauthorized use of Eric Forster's unfinished designs, a calculated and dangerous move orchestrated by the ever-ruthless Bill Spencer. While the world applauds their genius, Katie is acutely aware of the looming, multi-million-dollar lawsuit and the scorching fury of Brooke and Ridge Forrester. To legitimize her brand and protect herself from the impending legal and familial fallout, Katie desperately needs a permanent, visionary lead designer who can generate original, breathtaking collections. She needs someone who understands her aesthetic and can translate her ambitious vision into tangible, wearable art. Hope Logan Spencer fits this profile perfectly. However, the transition would not be simple. Hope possesses a very distinct, ethereal aesthetic heavily tied to the Hope for the Future identity. The burning question remains whether Hope can adapt her signature style to meet Katie's sophisticated, high-stakes vision, or if the resulting designs would simply look like a displaced iteration of her former brand. Furthermore, the potential defection of Hope Logan Spencer to the rival Logan brand carries massive collateral implications, particularly concerning the brilliant but volatile designer Deke Sharp. If Hope decides to make this monumental leap, it is highly unlikely she would do so alone. The creative synergy between Hope and Deke has been a crucial element of her recent work, and the prospect of leaving him behind in the hostile environment of Forrester Creations would undoubtedly weigh heavily on her conscience. It stands to reason that Hope might present Katie with an uncompromising ultimatum. She will only bring her talents to the Logan brand if Deke Sharp is guaranteed a prominent position alongside her. This package deal would instantly transform the Logan brand into a formidable design powerhouse, effectively draining Forrester Creations of its most dynamic young talent in a single, devastating strike. Across the city, within the sleek and imposing boardroom of the Spencer Empire, Katie and Bill find themselves locked in an intense and consequential debate over this exact possibility. For Bill Spencer, the decision is a masterstroke of corporate warfare. He thrives on ruthless opportunism and views poaching Hope as the ultimate revenge against the Forrester family's perceived arrogance. Bill argues passionately that bringing Hope into the fold would not only solve their immediate desperate need for a lead designer, but also strike a crippling psychological blow to Steffi and Ridge. He envisions the media frenzy, the skyrocketing stock prices, and the sheer poetry of a Logan shining brightly outside the shadow of the Forrester name. However, Katie, burdened by a deeper sense of familial loyalty and moral complexity, hesitates. She is already navigating the treacherous waters of Brooke's intense disapproval and Ridge's simmering hostility regarding the stolen designs. Katie knows that extending an offer to Hope would be viewed as an unforgivable act of aggression, a declaration of all-out war that could permanently sever her relationship with her sister. Yet, as she stares at the daunting reality of her business needs, Katie realizes that every successful fashion house requires a brilliant designer at its helm. The temptation to offer Hope a sanctuary and an unprecedented platform to shine might ultimately override her fears of familial retribution. While the titans of the fashion industry prepare for a seismic shift in power, a deeply intimate and equally destructive battle is being waged over the heart of Electra Forrester. Electra finds herself standing at an agonizing emotional crossroads, completely paralyzed by a romantic dilemma that threatens to tear her world apart. On one side stands Will Spencer, a man who represents the comforting embrace of history, safety, and deep-rooted affection. Will has fought tirelessly to expose the vile manipulations of Ivy Forrester, proving his unwavering dedication to Electra by dismantling the lies that kept them apart. His love is steady, fiercely protective, and built on a foundation of shared memories. However, the emotional wreckage left in Ivy's wake has created a chasm of doubt within Electra's heart. Despite Will's devotion, she finds herself inexplicably drawn to the intoxicating, dangerous fire of R.J. Forrester. R.J. represents a thrilling departure from the past, a passionate and aggressive suitor who has made it abundantly clear that he will stop at nothing to claim her as his own. Electra is torn between the man who fought to save their past and the man who is relentlessly demanding to be her future, fully aware that choosing one will inevitably destroy the other. The rivalry between Will and R.J. has long transcended mere romantic competition, devolving into a bitter, venomous feud that infects every corner of Forrester Creations. Will, operating from a place of righteous indignation and defensive hope, waits in agonizing suspense for Electra to make her final choice. He believes that the truth about Ivy's sabotage should be enough to repair their shattered bond, but he underestimates the dark, Machiavellian lengths to which his rival is willing to go. R.J. Forrester, consumed by entitlement, jealousy, and a ruthless desire to win at any cost, has abandoned all pretense of fair play. He views Electra not just as a woman to be loved, but as a prize to be conquered, and he is prepared to unleash a sinister campaign of psychological warfare to ensure Will's ultimate defeat. The focal point of RJ's dark and calculated manipulation is the deeply vulnerable Melissa Dillon, Melissa is currently trapped in a suffocating nightmare of her own, haunted by the shadows of a mysterious and terrifying threat. Her phone rings with the chilling sound of a disguised voice, a phantom caller who taunts her with claims of unfinished business. This relentless harassment has plunged Melissa into a state of profound psychological distress, triggering agonizing memories of her darkest days. The speculation surrounding her potential involvement in the tragic death of Luna Nozawa hangs over her like a guillotine. Did the paralyzing fear of living on the streets force Melissa into making desperate, shady deals with dangerous individuals? Is she harboring a deadly secret that could destroy her life? These questions gnaw at her sanity, leaving her isolated, terrified, and desperately clinging to the fragile stability of her employment at Forrester Creations. It is precisely this desperate vulnerability that R.J. Forrester targets with the precision of a predator. R.J. possesses a chilling awareness of Melissa's deepest trauma, her paralyzing, visceral fear of poverty and the soul-crushing reality of homelessness. He knows that Melissa would sacrifice almost anything to avoid returning to the cold, unforgiving streets. In a display of breathtaking cruelty, R.J. corners Melissa, leveraging his immense corporate power and his status as the boss's son to force her into a toxic and morally bankrupt alliance. He presents her with an impossible, devastating ultimatum. Either she uses her proximity to Will and Electra to actively sabotage their potential reconciliation, or he will personally ensure that she is stripped of her job, her income, and her dignity. R.J. demands that Melissa become the architect of Will's heartbreak, forcing her to plant seeds of doubt, orchestrate misunderstandings, and manipulate the situation until Electra is driven irrevocably into R.J.'s waiting arms. For Melissa, the weight of R.J.'s blackmail is a crushing, existential burden. She is a woman who genuinely cares for both Will and Electra, yet she is being coerced into destroying their happiness to secure her own basic survival. Every day she walks into the design office, she is forced to wear a mask of deceit, her stomach churning with guilt and terror. The psychological toll of this forced betrayal is monumental. Melissa is trapped in a suffocating web, forced to choose between her fundamental moral compass and the terrifying specter of sleeping in her car once again. She is a pawn in R.J.'s sick, entitled game, acutely aware that one wrong move could result in her total ruin. However, R.J. Forrester's sinister scheme is built on a foundation of profound arrogance, and it carries the seeds of his own potential destruction. He is operating under the dangerous assumption that he can control the narrative, manipulate the players, and keep his hands seemingly clean while Melissa does his dirty work. But secrets of this magnitude rarely remain buried forever in the halls of Forrester Creations. The tension is a tightly coiled spring, ready to snap at the slightest provocation. If the truth of R.J.'s monstrous blackmail ever comes to light, if Electra discovers that the man whispering sweet promises in her ear is the same man who ruthlessly exploited a traumatized woman's fear of homelessness just to win a petty rivalry, the fallout would be apocalyptic. Electra's fierce sense of justice and her deep empathy would instantly curdle into pure, unadulterated disgust. R.J. is playing a high-stakes game of emotional roulette, completely blind to the fact that his desperate, cruel tactics are the very things that will guarantee he loses Electra forever. The impending collision of Hope's professional rebellion, Katie's ambitious gamble, Electra's torn heart, and R.J.'s sinister blackmail promises to shatter the fragile peace of Los Angeles, leaving a trail of broken alliances